Hey guys, it's Amaria here, and in this video you're gonna see my full upper body workout that I did in a fasted state. So this is something I'm gonna discuss a little bit in this video. Also, a few things here. I'm pretty excited that I'm able to film now. More footage will be coming from the gym. I can finally settle down here in Split, Croatia. Got a really great gym where I can film at, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna be releasing more gym footage for you guys, and also I'm gonna cover in this video a little bit about correcting uneven muscle growth, which is a big issue that I've been asked a lot about, and I finally said, okay, let me just talk a little bit about that, because there's a lot of imbalances. We human beings, we're not built perfectly. Obviously there's a lot of flaws in the way we're structured, and depending on your genetics, you might have to deal with a lot of imbalances. Some people are kind of more even out, and it also depends on your childhood and your development, whether you're doing sports as a little kid and then one side got more developed than the other. If you're, let's say, playing soccer, then your right, at least in my case, for example, my right leg, that was the kicking leg, used to be a lot stronger than my left leg, which was just there to stabilize. And these are some of the things that I want to go into here, and also how to structure a workout plan to actually correct these imbalances. What are some of the tools you can do? And also here, you guys see me do this dynamic warm-up routine, and now there's a big debate between static stretching and dynamic stretching, which is more beneficial. You see me here, I'm doing only dynamic work. Dynamic work is as beneficial as static stretching in terms of getting that VO2 up, getting your heart rate up, getting that core temperature up. Like everything you get from static stretching, you get from dynamic stretching as well, and you don't get the negative side effects of static stretching before workout, which is basically reduction in force production. So we have a study from 2007 that actually clearly showed these effects last up to hours and hours, right? So you might get certain range of motion benefits, although you can get that with dynamic stretching as well. But with static stretching, you pay the price because you lengthen your muscles. Imagine like you have a rubber band. Like imagine your muscles are a rubber band, and you just leave the rubber band stretched over a course of a night. And next day, that rubber band, if you really stretch it out and if you let it come back, it's not gonna have the same amount of elastic energy stored. So it's not gonna be able to contract as hard. So that's kind of what you're doing to your muscles when you're doing a lot of static stretching, especially before workout. If you lengthen that muscle too much, you lose a little bit of that ability to store elastic energy, and you have less force production. So these effects can last up to hours. So it's best not to do static stretching before your strength workouts, before your resistance training. And then you want to do that maybe in a day afterwards, or when it's a rest day, or let's say before you go to bed. That's fine, because throughout the sleeping period and all of that, you're gonna be fine, right? So you're gonna get back that elasticity that you need. So aside from that, here you guys see I'm doing a couple of warm-up sets, and you see that I start this workout with the incline bench press, and this is where we go into correcting weaknesses, right? So my upper chest is my weak point, so I decided to focus more on incline bench pressing for the next couple of months, and you're gonna see all the workouts that I'm gonna be posting that are upper body will be starting with the incline barbell bench press. So that's the movement I decided to commit to. And here I did actually the first set, I did 5 reps, and I was like, why am I doing 5 reps? Because the program that I designed was 5 to 7, and I did 5 reps, and I felt like, okay, I could have done 6 or 7, and I was like, okay, I stopped at 5. And then the second set, I pulled off 6, and you're gonna see in the third set I'm gonna do 7, which is really good, because it means that next week I'm gonna try to, for this specific day, I'm gonna try to get all 3 sets of 7, and if I do that, I'll be increasing the weight and going back to 5 reps. So the goal here is to kind of narrow the gap between my incline bench press and my regular bench press. My regular bench press is quite strong. I can do 120 kilos for 5 to 7 reps easily. With this one, you see that I'm struggling with 90 kilos. That's because I haven't been doing it for a while. So that movement I have been neglecting. I was doing it as an assistance lift after my main bench press, and I was doing that with dumbbells for a while, then a little bit with the barbell, and I never really committed to it. And it's also a point of that the actual incline bench press in certain gyms is shit, so you actually can do it, and that's the problem. But here I have a really good one, so I'm able to commit to just incline pressing for a while. My goal is to get my incline press to about 225 for 10. That's kind of the goal, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, just looking at how I'm progressing, I know it's a weak lift because every single week I'm getting stronger and stronger on it. So it's kind of like almost newbie gains, although I've been training for years, but it's a new lift for me. So here you see me do this low row machine. This is also one of the kind of imbalances and things that I want to correct. So I want to focus more on rowing, and I really like this Techno Gym low row machine. It hits my back awesome, and I can get into the right position. Technically, I would be doing seal rows if I had the opportunity to do seal rows, but currently in this gym I can't set that up because it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes to set that up, so I don't want to bother too much with that, so I just do the low row. And here, a little bit not conventional style of organizing the training plan. I'm going into cable crossovers. Typically I would be doing some heavy work, but this session, particularly this session, is a bodybuilding style session. So I decided to add a lot more volume. So I'm going to be doing more volume, more repetitions. I'm targeting that range of moderate to high repetitions. And I just did the incline because that's a movement that I'm committed to getting stronger in. But all the other volume really comes from the exercise that I feel my chest working the most, that I need to target my chest, because my chest is always a lagging part and I'm working hardcore on it. It's improved massively in the last 6 months, and I'm just getting better and better with it because I discovered certain movements that I can hit the chest pretty well with. So one of these movements is the cable crossover, but also the mid cable crossover, which I'm going to be doing the next workout. So the mid cable crossover as well hits the upper portion of the chest in a really good way, and I find it to be extremely good for me and for my kind of structure. So these cable crossovers, I mean, the key is the mind-muscle connection. You see me struggling here. I mean, I really like to take my sets to near failure. So as soon as I notice, okay, I'm gonna be failing in a rep or two, I'm gonna usually stop. I'm not gonna go to failure on an exercise like this, which is the second exercise of the day. There's a lot of guys been asking me, well, why don't you train a muscle failure? Shouldn't you train always to muscle failure? Well, if I take my first set to failure with these cable crossovers, my second set, I'm not gonna be able to do the same amount of weight or the same amount of reps. Even if I go to close to failure, you see it's a struggle. So I don't wanna sacrifice volume, which is the key to growth, for going to muscle failure, which is not the key to growth. The key to growth is progressive overload, and progressive overload will come with volume. So here you see me doing the V-bar lat pull down. I mean, a really great exercise. I feel this stretching my lats pretty well, and I always get an awesome pump doing this exercise. Highly recommend it if you're looking for a nice back builder and you're tired of doing pull-ups and chin-ups, and this is my favorite alternative to that. So you see I'm doing a little bit of mixing things up, because typically my workouts would be, okay, bench press, pull up, you know, it's like the standard stuff. But I am mixing things up every once in a while just to introduce new types of stimulants and just to get that extra edge and just make it fun as well, and make it a little bit more interesting, and the body always responds by growing and adapting. So V-bar pull down, and coming back to those imbalances, and I mentioned here volume is really the key to growth. Volume is reps times sets times weight, and now people will say, well, I don't want to just add a bunch of sets and do thousands and thousands of reps with pink dumbbells. Well, no, I mean, volume is again connected to intensity and frequency. So if you're doing extra volume, the point is that that volume has to have enough of magnitude in terms of the amount of weight you're lifting. So it has to be intense enough. So the key with every workout plan is progressive tension overload. So it's getting stronger over time. So that's the key to muscle growth. I mean, we can also say metabolic stress can help, muscle damage can help, those negative portions of the lift, the pump when you get the metabolic stress and cell swelling and all these other mechanisms. But progressive tension overload is one that is the primary driver of growth. So that it means that you want to be progressing over time in terms of strength. So when you have a lagging muscle group, it's basically about finding the right amount of volume that you need to hit the muscle group with. And not only that, but now you could, you could say, okay, the amount of volume is 200 reps per session. Well, are you going to be able to recover from that? Well, that's a problem there, because if you need to do a lot of volume for a certain muscle group to make it grow, like some people need to train their calves for 5 days out of the week, it's not a wise thing to try to do that in one single session. So now it's a good thing to actually spread that around the week. So let's say my chest, if I'm really noticing, well, in 2 days of the week I can't get enough volume, and if I add more volume in that session, my chest is going to just be completely destroyed. I might add a third day of the week where I do the chest again, and I'm going to spread that volume across the 3 sessions. So the key, fixing a lagging muscle group, fixing a group that doesn't want to grow, is more volume. So put more work on it and allow the body to recover, right? So from that volume. And some cases, it really takes so much volume that you will need to reduce the volume on other muscle groups and kind of specialize your training plan. So this is often the case with advanced lifters, because if you're, let's say, trying to bring up your chest, and if you're just benching hardcore and you're doing all these isolation movements, you might need to reduce the volume on your back. You might need to kind of put that on the back burner in terms of what's happening there, so you have the full recovery capacity for just the chest muscle, right? So these are some of the things for advanced lifters, for intermediate, for beginner lifters. I mean, for beginners, I would not even worry about imbalances too much. Just get strong in the first stage of your lifting kind of career. It's for the first year. Just focus on compound movements, just get strong. The stronger you get, most of these things will correct themselves. So any imbalance that is just about 5% of imbalance, so let's say one arm can do 5% more than the other one, it's not a big deal. But if it's a huge problem where it's like, okay, your chest is not growing at all compared to your back, which is just blowing up, then you want to make sure that you really hammer the chest with more volume. And one easy way to do this is, hey, I'm gonna do, for every set of back, I'm gonna do 2 sets of chest. If you see that your back is growing really hardcore and it's awesome, making progress, why not try this? Just for every set of your back movements, you do 2 sets of chest, and that's kind of gonna put more of that volume and also get the chest to grow. And again, we want to manage fatigue at the same time, so it's really about managing the fatigue levels, especially as you get more and more advanced, when the weights get heavier and heavier. So it's key to really monitor yourself and see, okay, am I recovered enough? Am I making enough progress? If you're not making progress and if you're not recovered, then you're doing too much in either one session or too much in general from stressors that are a combination of all the stressors in your life. So you want to kind of work more in your recovery, get more sleep, and all these other things. So if you're actually not making progress and you're rested, then you want to add more volume, and that is the key, basically, to monitor what is happening. And this is a moving target. This is going to change over time. So with the lagging muscle groups, I mean, there's a lot of things that people are just kind of caught up in terms of like the dogma of designing a program. Don't be afraid to train your weakness first. So if, let's say, my shoulders are my weak point, I'm not afraid to train my shoulders before my benching. And this is something that a lot of guys are not willing to do. Like they say, hey, my calves are lagging behind, my hamstrings are lagging behind, but they're still doing squats as the first movement of the day when they do their lower body day, right? If your calves are lagging, why don't you do calves first in the movement? Because there's a lot of research studies out there that are basically comparing what's happening if you put the exercise first in terms of the order of how you do it throughout the day. There's Diaz in 2010, there's Simao 2010, 2011. I mean, the conclusion is really that the workout, whatever you design the workout and you put the first exercise there, that's the exercise that you're going to progress the most in. And that's the exercise that you want to put the most importance on as well. So if that's your lagging muscle group, if calves are, if biceps is it, if it's triceps, you want to make sure to work that first. So add that first in front of everything else, because you have to make certain sacrifices if you want to bring that body part up. This doesn't mean that you have to do this forever. but temporarily it's fine to train your biceps before your bench press, or train your bicep before you do squats. It's just being very, very smart about it, and don't be afraid to go a little bit outside of the box when you think about designing your program. So if my biceps was lagging, I would be training my biceps before my squats, before my bench press. I would be just training the biceps first. And of course, it's gonna catch up eventually, and I'm gonna be happy with that. So the same thing here, that I'm saying for you is whatever your weakness is, train it first. Another big point here is that you want to train the body part within all repetition ranges. So don't neglect a certain repetition range. I know a lot of people will say, well, you just need to lift heavy, to grow big. It's not just that. You need to train throughout the full spectrum of repetition ranges. We're talking about low reps, moderate reps, high reps, and this will allow to stimulate all types of muscle fiber, and that will allow for complete growth of the muscle group. So you want to make sure that you design the program. In general, this should be done for every muscle group. You want to do the full spectrum of repetition ranges. This is a big thing that I see with guys. They're either doing low reps the whole year, or they're doing moderate reps the whole year. So it's all sets are 3 times 10, or all sets are 5 times 5, or all sets are 3 times 15 because someone told them high rep is good. You want to combine this stuff. You can combine this in the whole week. You see me here, I'm doing a triceps push downs here with the rope. It's 14 reps, right? It doesn't mean that I'm not doing the low repetition work as well, because if you think about it for a second, well, I hit my triceps for low reps doing that incline bench press, but I also will hit the triceps for lower reps in another workout this week. And same for the bicep curl, right? So this is a kind of a superset scenario here where I'm supersetting everything and I'm doing higher repetitions, but I'm training them across the whole spectrum of repetition ranges. And this is, if you look at the research, there's some promising research coming from Russia. Brad Schoenfeld has done really good research on this. It's clear that we want to train through a full spectrum of repetition ranges if we want to maximize muscle growth. So to recap a little bit about how do you correct imbalances, it's all about volume. Make sure you can add more volume, accommodate for that volume through recovery methods, and maybe reduce volume in other muscle groups to compensate. Secondly, if you're not sure how to do that, for one set of your strong muscle group, add 2 sets of your weak muscle group. Second, the third point here that I want to mention is that you can train the weakness first, and you should train the weakness first in your workout. And the final point that I want to mention is that you want to do more unilateral movements. So unilateral movements are movements that are done with dumbbells, for example, with the hands are separate, and you want to start that movement with the weaker part. So if one of your shoulders can do 8 reps, the other one can do 12, you want to start with the weaker one first and knock out those 8 reps or 9 reps and really push it hard, and then the other one you do with a different dumbbell, right? So you can basically separate the muscle groups by working them with dumbbells, and that will allow you to work the muscle in a unique way, because it's just that muscle working, so it can't rely on the stronger muscle to get the weight up. The same thing is for the bench press. If there's one side that is always lagging a little bit behind, do dumbbells for a while. And this is very, very helpful. I've done this in my second year of training, especially with the bench press, because my left side was much, much weaker than my right side. So those are a couple of tips here. Intermittent fasting workout was standard. I just had a little bit of protein before. Pretty cool to do this. I like to do them fasted right now because I can get to the gym early and I can get a lot of filming done before it gets crowded. It's really hot here, so I'm walking throughout the day. And I'm just making sure to knock out my workout first thing in the day to make sure to bring you guys this footage, and sacrifice a little bit of gains for that because training in the evening might be more beneficial, but it doesn't really matter. Let's focus on value, and hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. Aside from that, hit that subscribe button below to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.